We are back on Fight News now, and we are getting set. Anderson Silva's return coming up on Saturday, February the 27th against Michael the Count Bisping. Our coverage begins that day at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with a live preview show, and then that main card will be airing here in Canada on Fight Network. Looking forward to this fight very much, and earlier this week, the two had a media day in Los Angeles. MMAfighting.com was there and caught this exchange between both middleweights ahead of their fight on February 27th.
Here he is. See you in London, my friend.
Yeah, see you. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. Say hi for your family, right?
No Viagra.
No, just my punch in your face.
Hey, don't.
Relax. Don't worry,
My
man.
shin to your chin.
Yes.
You think you're gonna punch it? You won't land.
Okay,
Too old.
Okay.
Too old.
Yeah, I'm old.
You're old.
You know, I'm old, but I'm more smart. I'm champion for a long time, remember?
Yes, on steroids.
Remember? No, I understand. But give me a hug, Come on, man. I understand your frustration for never go for the belt. But this is your chance. You need to prove for the people. You have the chance for. No, I don't need to prove nothing, bro.
You need to prove that
No, relax.
Hold your life.
Don't worry.
Hold your life on steroids.
Hey,
No. Hold your life. I'm waiting for it. I'm Thailand. Hey, does it work?
I'm waiting for you.
Are you getting all right?
Yes, I'm getting all right. I'm waiting for your number. Okay?
Oh, well,
I'm waiting for your number. Yes,
I see that.
I say, good luck. I see you in London.
I ain't gonna need luck. It's done.
Okay, I see you in London.
Bye, sweetheart.
Hey,
I'm gonna you.
love you, man.
All right, good.
Well, there you go. That's what Media Day is for, folks. You got cameras rolling. Why don't we put on a show for the media? And that's what they did.
I think it's excellent. We all know that Michael Bisping is capable of doing this. This is kind of the first time we're really seeing Anderson Silva play up. Well,
Mask.
Well, yeah, no,
the kiss.
I'm talking about actually verbalizing things. There's things like that we've seen in the past. But him, talking to Michael Bisping, saying, "Yeah, I got nothing to prove. You're the guy that has something to prove." I think that was really good stuff of Anderson Silva.
I mean, I guess.
This is what you live for, Rob.
Yeah, this is my jam right here. Guys who are going to fight each other, hey, they talked. It's not really my thing. I don't get it. I get that people find it enjoyable and that it can raise the temperature. My curiosity ends up being, does it affect either of the fighters? And the point that you just made, or that both of you kind of threw out there, is that Anderson doesn't do that a lot. So why did he didn't seem to want to? That wasn't how it started. He did fine if we're going to judge every word as if it's a jab and every sentence as if it's a combination. But he seemed to be provoked. And that's what Bisping was looking to do. He was looking to provoke him. So we'll see. I mean, can analyze it to death. I guess it's just something, if you enjoy it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think that, I've said it before, I think this fight, the spotlight to me is on Anderson Silva. Michael Bisping goes into this fight. If he loses, he's losing to Anderson Silva, and I don't think anyone's going to hold anything against him. For Anderson Silva, I mean, he has a long legacy behind him. He's coming off a very rough year image-wise that I think that Silva losing this fight, it changes a lot of people's perspective, right or wrong. I think this is very much going to be an Anderson Silva-focused event, and Michael Bisping is along for the ride to a degree.
True, but at the same time, they're in Michael Bisping's backyard. They're in England. The crowd's going to be on Bisping's side.
He's never lost in England.
And so, I mean, and Robin, we were talking about the fact that the deck is kind of stacked against Anderson Silva. I still think Anderson Silva is going to win this fight. But when you put all the pieces out there and start thinking about the certain things about Anderson Silva's performances, granted, 2 of his losses over his last 3 fights were to a guy that many people considered to be one of the pound-for-pound best. Clearly the number 2 or number 3 guy at 185 pounds right now in Chris Weidman. Most people say he's probably number 2. But, there's no shame in losing to Chris Weidman 2 times. The Nick Diaz fight, some people will say, well, Nick Diaz was messing around. Anderson Silva did what he needed to do to get that victory. And, of course, there was all the fallout with the drugs and so on and so forth. But I think that Anderson Silva, you have to remember, he doesn't need to be doing this. He has made a lot of money as has Michael Bisping, so he doesn't need to be doing this either. I think both guys are doing it because of the love of combat, and I think we're both going to see that in the main event.
Yeah, I'm a known and admitted Anderson Silva troll, so I must throw that out there. That's been going on for years. But when I'm being truthful, he's one of the greatest of all time. He really is. He's a brilliant martial artist who's done things that were magical. The reason that you hesitate is, one, Bisping is so fundamentally sound. That's how you beat those guys. But at their best, it's challenging. But 100% of the fights he's had since he broke his leg in half have been poor performances, and he's 40. There's issues of drug testing. If there's anything to any of the accusations that Bisping or anyone else throws out about drug use, he's not using it now. And he's 40. And he broke his leg in half. And he hasn't had a really legitimate, good, great performance since Yushin Okami. And I'm sorry, Bonner, it's no disrespect to you. You just weren't that at the same level as the guys that he was facing at that time. Although he was all juiced up too in retrospect. So maybe that one should be considered a good performance too. But put those things into account. We often make our errors when we're sort of wondering how or discussing how fights might go, not projecting growth. Thinking that the fighter you're going to see is the same fighter as before, but they're 28 years old. It's been 9 months. They're better. When a guy's 40, broke his leg in half, had a couple of devastating losses, came back. Broken leg is now we're removing a year of training. It's a lot of things. You have to project. You're not anticipating him dancing around Forrest. You're not anticipating the highlight reel you saw. You're anticipating a 40-year-old with a leg that broke in half, hoping to achieve that. And I don't know, and that's no disrespect, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. You can't think that anybody's going to do that at 40.
One thing you do have to look at, you look at those Chris Weidman losses. During that time, Anderson Silva was considered to be the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. He was one of the biggest draws in all of mixed martial arts. And we've heard from past champions like George St. Pierre say the pressure is enormous. It is so heavy to just be constantly absorbed and obsessing about all of your opponents. Now Anderson Silva doesn't have that pressure anymore. Again, he could have walked away, could have hung up the gloves forever. Instead, he's decided he's going to get back in there. Anderson Silva's not stupid. He knows what anybody that stands across the cage, that signs on the dotted line to fight Michael Bisping, they understand who they're facing. They're facing a guy that's going to be motivated, that has something to prove, like Anderson Silva says, because for some reason, people just don't give Michael Bisping the respect that he deserves.
I don't know. You know, and last sort of thought, what was one of the key things that Chris Weidman told you from months before the first fight and repeated dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of times? The key to beating Anderson Silva was not buying into the Anderson Silva myth. You know what makes it easier if you're Michael Bisping? Seeing him lose twice badly and then seeing a poor performance. You know, that makes it even easier to not buy into that.
A few notes in women's mixed martial arts. Bellator has signed 3 flyweights. No one that is all too experienced, but clearly they are putting some stock into that particular division that they're looking to get going in 2016. Karolina Kowalkiewicz of KSW fame and recently debuting in the UFC, looking for a fight with Carla Esparza. And Ronda Rousey spotted training in her gym with one of the more creepy photos where TMZ, they took photos from outside through the glass of her training with Edmund Tarverdian. It's like a simple knock on the door for an outlet like TMZ. You'd think they would, sure, take some photos. I guess not.
I don't know. If I was Edmund, there's no way I'm letting any media anywhere.
They're going to invest in some curtains there.
Exactly, because everybody's coming after her. Everybody's coming after him. I would make sure that my door was locked. I wouldn't want anybody in that facility if I was part of that team.
Yeah, you're hoping for her that the game becomes, hey man, I'm going to go be a great martial artist. I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to stop taking pictures about it. I'm just going to go off and woodshed and become an even better martial artist. And I hope that's what she does. She's a brilliant, brilliant athlete. And this we don't need. You know, this, we've seen fighters, mixed martial arts fighters go in and train with boxing coaches that don't understand the full scope of the game, and it ends up being a fairly good waste of time. Hand speed is not relevant. Johnny Hendricks just did most of his training for the Stephen Thompson fight against boxers in a boxing environment. And look how bad that went. I'm sure he's looking better as a boxer than he's ever looked. And Stephen Thompson was like, you don't box out here. I'm going to box you with my feet. I think Hendricks after was like, I'm frustrated. I wish he'd have stood in there with me. Why on earth would he do that? This is mixed martial arts. There's many ranges in which to fight. So really focusing in on boxing, you get the theory. Great judo player, great submission player. Why not box? But it's a lot more complicated.
Very
than
strange coming from Johnny Hendricks, considering he tried to take Stephen Thompson down in that fight.
Yeah, and Stephen Thompson kicked the crap out of him. It's like, but hey, man, perspective is a wild one. It's a very hard. Losing is really painful and tough, and there's a whole mental process coming around after that.
Glory is back in the news. Their next event will be February the 26th in Chicago. They've just announced that middleweight Joe Schilling will be fighting on that card, and it's going to be airing on UFC Fight Pass, which they just announced. They have struck a deal to air all future Glory events, as well as the Eddie Bravo Jiu-Jitsu Invitational tournaments, and on top of that, acquiring the K1 library that Glory owns, which is, to me, the biggest coup of this entire announcement that Fight Pass has made, going back to all of those K1 Grand Prix events that they have, those Dynamite shows that they have, all of that now finding its way onto Fight Pass. I think something like 2,000 hours that they're going to start uploading, and I think this is good news for Glory. We're going to find out.
Of course. I mean, for the Glory show that's going on in Chicago, it's sensational. It's the third fight between Artem Levin and Simon Marcus, our guy from Toronto, who's been training in Thailand with the great Bull Cow. But if you look back at K1, whether it's K1 or K1 Max, it's produced some of the most exciting fights ever in combat sports. Alistair Overeem was there, Mark Hunt was there, Badr Hari was there, as well as the great Peter Arts, Sammy Schilt, who is one of the most dominant combat sports athletes ever with his kickboxing background. Robin and I have called a number of his fights for Pancrase, so this is an awesome pickup for UFC Fight Pass.
For sure, and man, they're brilliantly pulling together all the fighting in the world, over time, and that really. Like, I spend a lot of time on there, and when I'm home in between stuff, you can just, hey, man, I haven't seen your favorite fight in a while. I mean, it's all there. And now a ton of kickboxing live Glory events. They're killing it. You got to admit, they're killing it.
Yeah, they had, the very quick turnaround from being on ESPN, where it was, not the most advantageous time slots. It was also being put on ESPN2. Fight Pass, you think that you're tailoring more to that fight consumer that's going to be interested.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's very, very strange to me. Like, you think about Spike and you think about ESPN, you would imagine that casual fans tuning in are gonna love this type of thing. K1, it was kind of a hidden thing. You had to be in the know. It wasn't on mainstream television. But you look at some of those highlights, the production is awesome. You have these big hulking guys knocking each other out. I mean, this is tailor-made for people that love combat sports or any type of action sports. I'm just stunned that more people aren't on board.
I'm kind of not in the sense that there's becoming less and less of a casual fan of almost anything in the world now. You can spend your whole day all day on the internet, on a specialty television station or whatever, just consuming that stuff that you like. And definitely people would think, well, you like fighting, you probably like NASCAR. I don't like NASCAR. I'm not a casual NASCAR fan. If you put it on the same channel, I'm not watching it. The niches are deeper and wider than they've ever been before. Why are you watching Fight Network? Because we cover fights, and we cover only fights, and we're the best at it. That's where you get your news, and that's where you get your fighting, and that's where you get your live stuff, and it only makes sense. You go to Fight Pass because you want to get fight stuff. You go to Fight Network, you want to watch fight stuff. That's it.
But at the same time, you look at some of these fans that grew up watching boxing, for example. Their dads watch boxing, so they just initially, let's say, hey, I like this. I love the combat. Two guys inside of a ring punching each other. Well, let's take a gander at this. It's punching and kicking.
But there's 900,000 minutes or hours of boxing on the internet. Yeah. They love boxing. That other fighting stuff's pretty cool, but there's so much boxing I can consume all day, every day. And as a result, I don't care what it is you like. If you're a video gamer, you can play games all day, every day. The stuff kind of like it. You'll play video games of fighting and never watch fighting. It's just niche.
We gotta evolve.
It's very difficult, too, because no one knows what the Fight Pass numbers are. So it's very hard to gauge what the value is for the promoter. For the fan at home, it's more content. So that's the person that ultimately you can judge it by. And finally, a news that was coming out recently was Bret Hart being diagnosed with prostate cancer this past Wednesday in Calgary. He underwent surgery and did post an update on Instagram. Seems to be doing very well coming out of surgery, so we obviously wish a speedy recovery for one Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, I mean, What do you say?
Yeah, it's a
that's-
sad and
it's-
scary thing. You hope he's healthy, you know.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us, but we have more coming up Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Robin Black and John Randine will be in these seats, diving deep into all of the world of combat sports. Tune in to 5 Rounds, Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.